back to Axion Token channel. So in this video we're going to look at this latest article out on CoinTelegraph. So it's been out for an hour and it's CertiK, which is the auditor for Axion, dissects the Axion Network incident and subsequent price crash. The auditors, which is CertiK, see foul play in the deployment of the smart contract, resulting in a classic scam. On November the 2nd, the Axion Network launched its new token known as Axion. The project touted the asset as a new investment vehicle, claiming that it would be the most profitable blockchain of its kind to date. During the interim lead up to Axion's airdrop, 5 separate teams allegedly examined the token's code, and industry darlings such as CertiK and Axion were among those who conducted the audits. A few short hours after the protocol's free claim event, however, it became clear that something had gone awry. An unauthorized actor unexpectedly minted 79 billion Axion and unloaded them on the market. The price collapsed in excess of 99%, netting the attackers a cool 1,300 ETH, worth an estimated 500,000 at the time of publication. In the hours that followed, the team behind the Axion project encouraged participants to stay away from the trading or interact with the asset, stating via the platform's official Telegram channel, "Do not buy Axion right now, do not interact with the dashboard." The Axion Network's Twitter account continued to post updates, including that "We're still here, all the Axion Hex2T people were holding at the time of the exploit will be credited. We will launch a liquidity reward portal to build the liquidity back up as well. We're working hard to relaunch Axion as soon as possible." Despite these reassurances, CertiK is stepping forward to offer the community a clear explanation of what they perceive to have gone wrong and insights into how similar attacks could be prevented in future. CoinTelegraph reached out via email to Jack Durden, who was described to us as the CEO of the Axion Network, but received no immediate response. No team members are listed on the project's white paper or the project, and the name Jack Durden is shared with the unseen narrator from the movie Fight Club. Note that the remainder of this article is produced word for word courtesy of CertiK as a public service to educate readers on the audit team's understandings of what happened. CoinTelegraph has not audited the code, and views stated hereafter are therefore exclusively those of CertiK. CertiK staff report on the Axion price crash. On the 2nd of November 2020 at approximately 11 AM UTC, a hacker managed to mint around 80 billion Axion tokens by utilizing the unstake function of the Axion stake contract. The hacker proceeded to then dump the tokens on the Axion Uniswap exchange for Ether, repeating this process until the Uniswap exchange was drained and the token price was driven to zero. We were informed of the incident within a few minutes of the attack occurring, and our security analysis began assessing the situation immediately. We have concluded that the attack was likely planned from the inside, involving an injection of malicious code at the time the code was deployed by altering code from OpenZeppelin dependencies. The exploited function was not part of the audit we conducted, as it was added after joining together Axion's code with OpenZeppelin's code via flattening and injecting it with OpenZeppelin's code prior to deployment. Planning: the hacker used anonymous funds procured from Tornado.cash the day before the hack occurred, hinting at a premeditated attack, presumably to save some funds in the case the attack fails. 2.1 ETH were recirculated in Tornado.cash right after the account received the funds. To finalize the attack setup, the hacker purchased around 700,000 Hex2T tokens from the Uniswap exchange. However, these funds were ultimately not part of the attack and served as a smokescreen with regards to how the attack unfolded. Setup: the hacker began their way towards actuating their attack by creating an empty stake on the staking contract of the Axion Network by invoking the stake function with a zero amount and a 1-day stake duration at approximately 9 AM plus UTC time. This created a session entry for the attacker with a 0 amount and a 0 shares value at session ID 6. Afterwards, the attacker pre-approved an unlimited amount of Axion to the Uniswap exchange in anticipation of the attack succeeding. Consequently, they approved the native swap contract of Axion for the amount of the funds they intended to convert to Axion tokens. They invoked the deposit fund of the native swap contract at approximately 10 AM UTC. However, the hacker never called the withdraw function of the contract to claim his swapped Axion as evident on the native swap contract swap token balance of function. Afterwards, they made more failed deposit function call before executing the attack. Execution. These transactions were merely smoke screens for how the unstaked attack was actually carried out, as the transactions that the attacker conducted resulted in no change up to the session date of mapping. We conclude that this was a multi-address attack. We investigated the source code of the contracts at the GitHub repository and had been shared with us to identify a flaw that would cause the session data of mapping to be affected. We were unable to detect any assignments to it or members of it outside the stake functions, which prompted us to question whether the deployment of the contracts was conducted properly. Attack vector. After analysing the source code of the deployed staking contract, we pointed a code injection into the access control Open Zeppelin library between L665 and L671 of the deployed source code of the staking contract. The linked check roll function is not part of the Open Zeppelin implementation, which was listed as a discrepancy of the project's GitHub repository. Within the check roll function, the following assembly block exists, and there's the code there. This particular function allows a specific address to conduct an arbitrary write to the contract based on the input variables it supplements via low-level calls. Annotated, the assembly block would look like this. This function was injected at deployment as it does not exist in the Open Zeppelin access control implementation, meaning that the members of the Axion Network that were involved with deploying the token had acted maliciously. Conclusion. The attack utilized code that was deliberately injected prior to the protocol's deployment. This incident bears no relation to the audits conducted by CertiK, and the party responsible for the attack was a person that seemed to be involved in the deployment of the Axion Network contracts. As an additional degree of security, audit reports should standardize to include deployed smart contract addresses whose source code has been verified to the same as the one that was audited. The security oracle serves as an on-chain relay of security intelligence conducting security checks, which includes the verification of deployed smart contracts to match the audited versions. So that's an update detailed by the CertiK auditor on CoinTelegraph. I'll leave the link below. Hopefully that helps to give you much deeper explanation about what happened with the launch failure. Cheers.